Welcome back, everybody. Our next guest is Nickolas Wildstar, and he is running for governor here in California. There he is. He's live in our studio today here in the Tower District. We're going to be catching up with you in just a second. Right. But first, I want to play a video that you sent in recently. It was an interview with an independent journalist that you did regarding a arrest for recording in a courtroom, is that right?
Yes, I was arrested for some traffic citations in 2019.
Okay.
And when I appeared in court, I exercised my right to record our public officials in a public place. So
you used your cell phone?
Yeah, exactly. I used my cell phone to record my own court case. And the judge told me to put my cell phone away. I refused, let him know I was exercising my constitutional right to, of course, public and fair trial, which I was on, as well as my First Amendment right to freedom of press. So we had this back and forth, and I was thrown out of the courtroom. But then later on, I was charged with contempt of court for disobeying a lawful order, which was the judge telling me to put my cell phone away. So earlier this year, I actually went on trial, which was in Orange County. So I had to go there from here in Fresno. And I was on trial and for a week, Valentine's Day week. And I was found guilty by a jury of 12 unanimously, and was sentenced to 40 hours community service, about $600 in fines, and a year of probation. But it just shows a travesty of our constitutional rights and our law system that's supposed to abide by that.
And this is a big reason why you're running for governor. So we're going to catch up with Nickolas on this matter right after this video. Check it out.
The Governor Gavin Newsom recall effort says it has collected 2 million signatures this week. With a special election becoming more of a possibility, there are several candidates running for office.
I've talked to so many people, and believe it or not, a lot of them were Newsom supporters that were sick of what he was doing, or what he's doing, and signed a petition.
Nickolas Wildstar is running as a Republican candidate for the California governorship. Wildstar ran as a Libertarian candidate in 2018 and as an independent candidate in 2014.
Even though I'm running as a Republican candidate, I'm promoting the Libertarian Party platform itself. Because I still stand on those principles and think libertarianism could be beneficial to the people of California.
But he's not just tackling a political race. Wildstar is also facing legal troubles in Orange County that could send him to prison.
If I am penalized at the maximum penalty, it will be 6 years.
Wildstar was found guilty of 6 counts of contempt of court for recording his previous court appearances. He believes he did not receive a fair trial.
I feel like I'm being prejudiced against because I'm a black man. This happened in Orange County, where the majority of the population is white.
He also believes he was not represented properly by the jurors for his case.
The jurors, there were no people of color on the jury at all.
Wildstar plans to fight the case outside of the Orange County courts.
I am planning on, taking this through to an appeal, if not the Supreme Court of California or Supreme Court of the United States, if need be. But I would like to be vindicated for these charges, since I do feel like it is an injustice.
His sentencing hearing is at 9 this morning at the Santa Ana Courthouse, where he has also planned a demonstration.
I've arranged this protest for people in California to, of course, come down there and, make some noise about the issue.
Reporting in Santa Clarita, I'm Savannah Birchfield.
So that video was done in March, and here we are in June now, and it sounds like you're just fed up.
Absolutely. I mean, thankfully, I'm still a free man to fight the good fight, but I am appealing those charges right now because I feel like, again, it's a violation of our rights as American citizens here in California, to where we should be able to record our public officials and make sure that they're doing their jobs correctly. I mean, and the courthouse is a public place. It's no different than City Hall or a park or a library, for that matter. So we, again, as people of the public, should be able to make sure that we're holding our public officials accountable. That's exactly what I was doing, and just again wanted to make sure that everything that was happening was on the record. A lot of people don't know what happens in citation courts actually is off record. So when you go to traffic court, all of that activity is off the record. So you want to, again, make sure that everything is happening accurately and true to form, So I am, again, appealing those charges. Hopefully I'll be able to overturn it so everybody in the state of California can benefit from that and be able to, again, exercise their right to record their public officials. But if not, I definitely will be taking it to the Superior Court of California, if not the Supreme Court of America.
No, your shirt says it all. Recall Newsom.
Yes, indeed.
Liberate California. My instinct on interviewing you is you are a black man, and you're a Republican, and you're running on. It sounds like a campaign of. You don't really do you see race as a problem in the state of California, or do you see other issues like maybe Newsom's handling of the pandemic more important?
Absolutely. It's kind of like a mixed bag.
Okay.
I mean, the reasons why the people of California have call for the removal of Gavin Newsom is because he has failed in his role as governor. I mean, even before the lockdown, he signed AB 5, which prevents people from working as an independent contractor. So, of course, that added to unemployment with the pandemic panic. So now more people are unemployed because of that, and added to the job loss in our state. He also continued to tax the people of California during the pandemic, and before that was even prosecuted for mismanagement of those monies collected from that gas tax and not spending it on infrastructure improvements, as once said. So there were many issues. The people of California were calling for the removal of him. I was one of them. I was out there involved in the recall protests. As well as
there you are there. That's at a recent protest, right?
Yeah, that was when Newsom was in Fresno opening up the vaccination center.
Okay.
And a few other protesters went down there to, again, let him know that we were unhappy with him as governor. So I have been involved in lots of rallies to bring more awareness to the issue. But with me being a black man, I also see some of the issues of racial prejudice through our law system. I've spoken to parents before that have experienced such a thing through our educational system, as well as through our healthcare system. My wife and I, we had our child here in Fresno, our first child, and the United States is number one when it comes to infant mortality deaths. And black people are a great majority of the victims of that. So, of course, we had our own concerns having our kid in the hospital, and thankfully we were able to have him safely be taken home with us. But we originally wanted to have a home birth, so there were some complications where we ended up having to take him to the hospital, and a lot of parents face that, where they immediately, as soon as they go into the emergency room, are having a cesarean, a C-section done, when they want to do a natural childbirth. But with what's happening right now in our hospitals, we want to make sure that everybody is safe in that environment, including our mothers-to-be, expecting parents, and of course our children, who right now are being experimented on with this mRNA injection being called the COVID-19 vaccination.
So you're against the vaccination?
I'm against mandatory vaccination.
Okay.
And what it is with this vaccination in particular, it is a gene editing tool called mRNA. It's a CRISPR. It's a new technology, which is basically, again, a gene editing tool. So they are using this technology to supposedly combat the virus. But even Dr. Fauci himself said that anybody that gets vaccinated still may catch the virus. There's also been side effects like herpes zoster, which is a skin outbreak that where now that becomes contagious. So, and now in the state of California, our health department actually just released a notification letting people know that if you are vaccinating your children, it is causing heart palpitations and heart issues. So this isn't being spoken of by our governor. I don't think he's fully making this information aware to the people of California, but more so just promoting that they get vaccinated altogether. And so he's using this as an opportunity to go around, promote himself as a savior of the state, and an opportunity to get reelected.
So let's go back to the Trump administration and their take on the vaccine. They were still, his administration still kind of got the vaccine going. So would you say this is both Democrats and Republicans forcing the vaccine on people? And not, do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I do think it was a bipartisan effort to lobby on behalf of Big Pharma to promote their vaccination, especially seeing as there were other methods of treatment available that wasn't really spoken of. Trump briefly spoke of hydroxychloroquine. And just recently, actually, a doctor in Israel came out with an inhaler where people can use that as a way to treat coronavirus. But again, this hasn't been spoken about by doctors in America or being promoted as an opportunity for people to treat coronavirus if indeed they are infected with it. And we found out recently that only symptomatic people can spread coronavirus, when this whole time we've been told that even if you don't show symptoms, you may be possibly spreading the virus. So now that that's untrue, these impositions of us having to be forced to wear a mask were unnecessary, as well as the business closures that, California has had thousands of businesses closed due to this lockdown that will never open again. Many of those businesses here in Fresno. So we want to make sure that we're, getting our economy going again. And I think the best way to do that is just to open up now. Gavin Newsom threw out the arbitrary date of June 15th as a projected day of opening, even though the CDC themselves said it's okay for everybody to go on with their lives now. So you have a lot of people in the state, not only state officials, but, residents here in California that are upset with that decision by him.
What do you say to the people that have been vaccinated and now we are seeing cases skyrocket down? Is that a connection to the point of, yes, the vaccine is working, COVID's going away? Or do you feel that, what are your thoughts on that connection?
I really think it's a matter of misinformation, because if you look at states like Texas and Florida, which have a low number of vaccinated people and chose to open up sooner than the state of California, as well as remove their mask mandates, etc., they have had a continual drop in the number of cases. Opposed to where here in California, we still are experiencing lockdown precautions. We're still having to socially distance, being forced to wear masks, etc. And millions of people have gotten the vaccination. And now we're supposedly seeing that drop. But I think the emphasis should have been always more so on the mortality rate, how many people have actually died from coronavirus. And if you look at those numbers, you come to find that it's extremely low.
I think there's been, I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but I would say around 550,000 deaths.
Correct.
There are, however, 331 million Americans, right?
Yes, with regards to cases. Now, how many of those deaths are in California?
Well, not very many.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, you have a governor that's not talking about the amount of people that have been infected with coronavirus and have recovered. Even before they got vaccinated, we had a recovery rate of 97, 98%. And so now, if you out there were to be, were to contract the coronavirus, you have a 98 to 99% survival chance. So it's not as life-threatening as they had made it seem. Something as if it was Ebola, or something more severe, where it again would threaten us in such a way to where we would again have to adhere to such drastic measures.
So your recall campaign efforts, and you possibly being our next governor. Are you really running on the pandemic? Is that the biggest thing that you see as Newsom's failure?
No. My biggest failure that I see of him is just his refusal to adhere to the calls of the people of California. Okay. When it came to our call to action for homelessness, he dropped the ball on that. I mean, just last year he spent nearly $1 billion on that effort, with over $100 million spent on Project Room Key, which was to put unhoused people in hotels temporarily. So it was overpaying for hotels. Some of those still needed to be renovated, and we're just paying an insane amount of costs. And now he wants to double down on that by adding an extra $11 billion, I believe, to address the issue. How I would have dealt with it would have just to build homes. Ever since I ran in 2018 as the Libertarian candidate for governor, I had promoted the idea of building 3D printed homes. These 3D printed homes can be built in less than 24 hours, cost less than $5,000, and they're self-sustainable. So it's a more economical way for us to, again, provide homes for those in need. And another way to deal with homelessness is to address the housing crisis, which Gavin Newsom hasn't done. I mean, you have the cost to build in the state rising. I mean, lumber is like 3 times as much as it used to be now. So the cost for home builders is extremely expensive. And when you throw in license fees and zoning laws, it just is a deterrent for them altogether. So that's why we've seen lots of industries, people, businesses leave the state of California. I want to bring them back by reversing the trends that Gavin Newsom has started. So I think, of course, when it comes to having the consent of the governed, Gavin Newsom has lost that, and that's why we want to remove him from office.
So what's the next steps now in the campaign?
Well, in my campaign or with the
recall effort? Yeah.
With the recall effort, the lieutenant governor now is confirming the amount of signatures. So once they meet the eligible requirement, which is 1.4 million signatures, I believe, then we'll have a special election. We collected over 2 million plus signatures here. There's a wonderful recall team in Fresno made these shirts, so thank you guys. But yes, so we were able to collect over 2 million signatures. As long as over 1.4 million clears, then we'll have that special election, which may end up being sooner than later, since you have some state officials saying, since Gavin Newsom is now throwing out freebies, and stimulus checks and paying off people's traffic tickets and all sorts of things.
Doing a lottery for the vaccine.
Yeah, lotteries for the vaccine, all sorts of good fun prizes to make people feel like he's doing a great job. So if they end up capitalizing on that and having that election sooner or later, it could be sometime early summer, if not expected to happen around November or so.
So your name will be on the ballot?
Yes, indeed. I'm planning on making it so.
And then worst case, you're looking ahead to 2022?
Yes. So the way this works normally is we would have a gubernatorial race every 4 years. And California is on schedule to have our 2022 election. So whoever ends up winning the race, even if Gavin Newsom is reelected, will have to run again for governor in 2022. So I would like to use the opportunity as my first year in governor in this special election to show and prove to the people of California why I should be reelected in 2022. So that's why I'm asking people to vote yes on the recall, then vote Wildstar for governor.
And wildstar2022.com, that's where people can learn more about your campaign.
Yes.
We've got about a minute left. Real quick, why did you switch from Libertarian to Republican?
I just wanted to be able to take the libertarian message to a larger platform.
Okay.
A lot of people that I met on the campaign trail when I ran for governor in 2018 just said they loved what I was talking about, but didn't think a libertarian had an opportunity to actually win in a state that's dominated by a two-party system. Right. So in a way to combat that, I'm now on the Republican ticket as a California Republican, a Cali Republican, which is more so, I feel like, is the epitome of the idea of fiscally responsible and socially liberal. You know, in the last election, the people of California voted against tax increases. We voted against the expansion of affirmative action, and we also voted to allow felons to continue to go back and vote. So the people of California is more so libertarian, but I wanted to, again, provide that message on a larger stage, which is why I'm running as a Republican.
All right. Nickolas, thank you for joining us today. Good luck.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, if you win, I need you to guarantee me something, okay?
What's that?
Give me your first interview.
I will do that. You got it. Yeah, I would be honored.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right. You're watching Central Valley Talk. I'm Austin Reed. We'll be back with another live local guest coming up in just a bit. Hang tight.